Welcome everyone to a episode 11 of Hive Thrive Hour. This week we're welcoming Edicted. I hope I pronounced that correctly. I think of eight addicted and then go E, but I could be right, could be wrong. Why don't you tell me? Did I say it right, Edicted?
You got it perfect.
Ah, there I go. For once I didn't butcher a name. So, welcome. I have taken a look at your account, but I have to admit it was last week I looked at your account. I have no idea why, but I'll tease you about that. You've been around since I believe 2017. Does that sound correct?
Yeah, December. I wrote a
This
post on Christmas.
Wow. 2017, it was your Christmas present to yourself. Nice going. What brought you into the chain?
Um, I had been like Bitcoin was like, around 20K or whatever, and everyone was going nuts about it. And I was just like, wow, this is like a real thing. I have to take it seriously now. And I was doing research on crypto. I wasn't ready to invest because I was like, that's a bubble. I don't want to like get in there. But I was doing research on it so that I would like know more about crypto, like when I was ready to buy and kind of get more involved. And I just kept asking Google all these questions, and it kept sending me to a website called Steam It, and I was like, "What is this website?" And it looked like people were being paid money, but it didn't make sense. I was like, "What? I don't know what this is." And I just kept I kept getting directed to Steam It like 5 times, and I was finally like, I have to find out what this is. So yeah, that's how I came here.
Yeah, Steam it messed up a lot of things, but man, it did SEO amazingly well. It was surprising how often it showed up in the search engines. So, what
Yeah,
convinced you to finally pull the plug and sign up?
well, like yeah, it was I really it was so long ago. I'm kind of it's hazy, but
Mm-hmm.
um like I think you just needed like a phone number. Like they were trying to do stop Sybil attacks and
Right.
multiple accounts with like the phone number. So like I doxed myself immediately to Steam it. So that's annoying. But
Yeah, they didn't
I've been
need the phone
doing
number when I come in, and they had these crazy big payouts on posts, and I was like, this can't be real. But what the hell? I'll try
yeah,
anyways and see what happens.
yeah. I remember that. Like, oh, you see like a post that's like $500 or like four figures, and you're like, well, that's not real, obviously. And but it was.
Yeah,
So
that
it's
was
like,
that
what?
initial flush of excitement for people had. So I noticed that most of what you write seems to center around markets, uh, but you're also really knowledgeable on the mechanics of how Hive works, and I'm sure that you learned that on Steam as well. So, what other subjects do you write on, or is that your main focus?
Um, it's just whatever I feel like it. I've read about tactics you have to use to write a blog, and people on this network don't really have to do that. We just kind of write whatever we want to write about. We don't have to pick a topic. We don't have to like cultivate an audience. We don't have to like go out and like get people to be excited about the one thing that we're talking about. So a lot of these blogs read more like diaries, just like whatever we feel like.
True.
Um, I I don't know. I'm kind of lost right now.
It's kind of
There's like
cool
so
that
much.
we
There's
don't.
so much to talk about that I don't even know where to like go.
I hear you on that. It's kind of cool that there's no algorithms that are deciding who's going to look at things. People just happen to wander past, so to speak. Or you have people that actually are following you, and that's pretty cool too. So,
Yeah, I started writing about actually like global politics and like conspiracy theory. So I was like in the conspiracy theory crew for like a long time before anyone noticed I was around. So I haven't been doing finance stuff for that long actually.
so I'm kind of curious because you said I was writing about conspiracy theories. Were you writing about the fact they were conspiracy theories, or were you actually believing them and you've realized differently?
Both.
Okay.
Yeah. There's a lot of conspiracy theories that are like, ridiculous, and there's a lot of ones that are like obviously true, and people are like, no. And it's kind of like, where do you? draw the line on it,
Mm-hmm.
because there's a lot of crazy stuff that happens in the world, and most people are very trusting because it's like the government is a toxic parent, and even though they might be toxic, and even though you know that they might be toxic, you have to trust them on a lot of things anyway, even if you are not sure that that's a good idea. So that creates a lot of like trust gets exploited, which is why I came here in the first place. That's why I was so kind of excited about getting into cryptocurrency, because of the whole trustless nature of it, and the ability to separate money and state and all that political, ideological, philosophical type stuff of like we need to divorce ourselves from this toxic uh, patriarchy that we're kind of like under.
Yeah, I hear you on that. There's an old saying, "The truth is stranger than fiction," and boy, that never changes. Question is which is fiction and which is truth, and we're always wondering.
Yeah, it's also weird because you get incentivized. Like when you write something and then you get a big upvote and you're like, oh sweet, I got a big upvote, and then you're like wondering, why did I get the big upvote? And then you get incentivized to keep writing about that topic. So for like conspiracy theory, it was really easy to just start going off the rails and talking about super crazy stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And my audience liked that for a while, so I did it.
Did you ever explore the birds aren't real one?
Oh, birds aren't real is great.
I thought
Yeah,
that was hilarious.
Yeah, I love that one.
And the
yeah.
guy that created it came right out and said, "I made it up,"
He's
and
like,
people
he's like,
still believe it.
it was supposed to be a joke,
Yep.
and I just rolled with it because it was too funny. Like that's kind of how Twitter works too. Is like half of the engagement on Twitter and X or whatever, like it comes from people taking satire seriously. It's like all the funny stuff happens from people like not getting the joke.
Very true. So, last question, then I'm going to turn you over to butt coins. If you could change the world, what's the main thing you'd do?
Oh my god. If I could change the world,
Yep.
that's too big of a question.
Just take it one bite at a time. What's your first step?
Ah, man, I don't know. That's just so open-ended.
Of course. That's
Um,
why I asked it.
let's see. Since I'm here on this network, I'll say um, all government structures are meritocracies, where the people who should be in charge are in charge.
And who gets to decide the merit?
I don't have to figure that out.
Oh,
You asked
okay.
me, like you asked me what
Mhm.
I would change.
Fair enough. Butt coins, he's all yours. And
You're
you
the
better make
genie.
sure
You're the
it's
genie here.
merited.
Yeah, like just because we were down that rabbit hole direction, because I have a question a little bit about the conspiracy theories. Why don't we just stay right in that lane for a second? I did the same thing. Like I was in my preparation moment last week, and I tried to do a deep dive. I got back to 2019, and then something happened and it flipped. I couldn't, and I was just like, oh my god, I'm not gonna scroll back again, because it's just like scroll, scroll, scroll for like 15 minutes to get there, and then something happened, and I lost it. But I was trying to get back to those early days, and so I'm curious, like, when did you stop writing about conspiracy theories? Or not that you don't, but like, what, you said it was like a focus. At what point did you start leaning away from those conspiracy theories,
Oh,
or writing about them at least?
it's impossible to say. You'd have to look at my blog and see, because you know I started out really heavy with that, and I would also do philosophy and politics as well, which kind of ties into it. Um, but it's like a
I
spectrum,
wasn't seeing anything in
and
2019. Put it that way. I didn't see anything that I would like, say looked like, oh, that's conspiracy theory. I was
yeah,
actively like
well,
looking for it. I wanted to read something like, you know.
right. Well, like I kind of loop it into other things. Um, like I talked about the police state a lot and how messed up that is, and just like a lot of global politics. But like at a certain point, you talk about all the things, and then there's nothing left to talk about. But with crypto, it's like always on the cutting edge. So there's always something to talk about.
Why don't we play it like this? Take from your memory here, like when you were writing in the conspiracy theory realm. Was what was one of the conspiracy theories that you still actively like think is legit, and then give us one that you've kind of come to see it as a conspiracy theory. So give us kind of those two poles of like, this is absolutely still very real. I still very much am in the camp of that this is a legit conspiracy theory, and then give us one that you've shifted your mindset on.
I honestly don't even like to talk about it anymore because I feel like I'm 100% on some weird government lists and I don't like it.
Ah,
Like, it's not a joke. Like,
give us the light ones, then the ones that won't get you deeper on the FBI list.
it's too late for that. I'm already on,
Ah, you're already on, dude. What do you might as well
already
just let
on
it
all the
go.
lists. Yeah. But like, there's certain conspiracies that have been proven true, and you can see how people act about them before they're proven true. And they're like, "Oh, that's just a ridiculous conspiracy theory. That would never happen." And then it gets proven 100% true, and all those people just act like it was never a thing. And so like that's just like the human condition and like the way that power can kind of do propaganda and like trick people into being like, no, that's ridiculous, when it's like, no, that's the most logical kind of
It
answer
it,
here.
re- it like triggers you know uh Colin Powell and
Yeah,
WMDs in kind of the Iraq war, and him sitting in front of the UN, and like
yeah.
everybody's like, this is bullshit, doesn't exist, and then later
Well,
it's like proved right.
yeah, intrinsically, like people know that they are 100% dependent on the system and the grid. So like when you try to tell those people, hey, this thing that you're like 100% dependent on, it's like exploiting you as hard as it can, and it's like lying to you every single day. Like most people cannot handle that. That's too much. That's too much. They can't. They're just like, no, that's not happening. I refuse to believe that. So it's a it's an uphill battle psychologically.
And and so what was it you were doing pre Steam and Hive? I guess let me frame it in this way. Um, I'm not a very math technical person. I'm much more of a hands-on, practical in my personal life, and so I've always struggled with some of the tech sides of Hive, and just understanding what makes HBD work. Even just this dumb thing that when we were in the pre-show, when I was just like, wait, you can like have a lesser amount of a power down. That's very classic me, with the details and just the capabilities of the Hive. But you seem to have a real strong grasp, and so I'm just kind of wondering what was going on before that in your life, or what was your past history that is gives you this thing where you can kind of latch into to Hive and the tokenomics and the varying aspects, that you just seem like you have a good grasp. What gave you that good grasp?
Well, I'm like, when I take personality tests, it's like you are 100% introverted and you hate people and you just like you'll just sit in a room and like do thinking stuff. Like that's your thing. And it's like, yeah, that's pretty much why. Like, and I'm just very in my own head all the time. I went to school for computer science. I never actually got a degree. I was like one class away from getting a, a computer science degree, and I did not get it. And I also realized that I'm just not cut out for like corporate life. Like I'm way too much of an autist, and like I just can't. Climbing the corporate ladder just makes me sick. I'm like I'm so outside the
Yeah.
system, which is why, which is another reason why I went into crypto, because I'm like I'm just gonna go all in on this, and I don't give a fuck. Like,
Mhm.
So
And I yeah, go for it.
there's a couple of questions here. One of them sort of related, and one of them kind of off the wall. So we'll start with off the wall. Marky wants to know if you were given an elephant and you couldn't sell or give it away, what would you do with it?
Marky's trolling me with his white elephant.
Ah, oh, if it's a white elephant, it might have value.
Oh, it's a white elephant.
So the hive has a question, and I'm going to let you interpret it. It says, so addicted as we can see these things you said to be true clearly, what do you see as the best manner to address this and change things?
But I didn't say anything specific. So
I
what are we talking about?
That's why I said you can interpret that.
I guess
Um,
one of
I don't know. Are we supposed to change things? I think you know, that's what crypto's supposed to be, right? Like that's what we're doing. We're trying to change how governance works. We're trying to change how ownership works. We're trying to change, like that's why I'm here.
He said in what you said of control, so that it sounds like you touched on that.
Yeah, I mean, we're here to decentralize control and power and try to make a meritocracy. Probably won't happen because that's like kind of like you said, who decides? Who decides who did good? Like, what are we gonna do? Put like an AI in charge? That's even worse.
Depends who programs it.
so we we've kind of hit on a couple little things here that the how complex Hive can be once you start getting into it. Your introvert nature kind of seems it worked with Hive because you dove in and you spent time on your own figuring it out so that you understood. I guess my question is, you know, are is this complexity of Hive put us in a position where only really persistent, thorough people can get it and really get it? And because you went all in, and I'm just curious if your personality was different, you probably wouldn't have. So I'm sure we've been lately on the show been trying to figure out like what makes a Ivy. And you even mentioned one thing for me of what I see the blog as like your if you see it as your personal diary. That's how I see it. I just see this as this public personal diary where I can let my whatever I'm thinking about or whatever is important to me at the moment, and then I have it for myself to look back on. But it doesn't seem like everybody's using it in that way. And it seems like we lose a lot of retention through the complexity. So just curious if you take that ball of information that I just gave you and give me your thought process on it.
I would say we are in the jungle, and the jungle is dangerous and frightening. Not everyone's cut out for hanging out in the jungle. Like we're supposed to be, making it simpler and paving the way for, more mainstream adoption or whatever. And that's obviously really hard. Scaling up is hard. Um, Creating systems that are like streamlined, that's really difficult. It just takes a lot of time, and you know, we're all very patient here, but it's discouraging when we've been here for so long, and it's like, we still have a lot of these same problems. It's getting kind of tedious.
And do you see anything where there is marketed like improvement where this is absolutely getting better and being easier? Do you see anything in that direction?
Well, I mean, a lot of our hard forks, I would say, were huge improvements. Um, you know, every time we have a hard fork, I'm like, oh, that's cool. And like one of the hard forks we have, it was like everything I asked for. It was like multiple blog posts, everything I wanted. I was like, oh, that's amazing. Uh, yeah. And the thing about Hive is that Bitcoin can't even do hard forks. Bitcoin has not done a single successful hard fork. I did not even realize that until like the other day when I looked it up. Did you know that?
I didn't know that.
Yeah, Bitcoin has never ever hard forked, and probably never will.
And so
Like
when they do these changes like Taproot or or they just did one like a week ago with the I can't, what is it, the
they haven't they
percentage.
haven't they haven't done that yet. But the op return,
Yeah, the op return. Yeah,
yeah,
that one. That didn't
that
happen.
drama
It's coming.
that drama is going strong. They haven't changed it yet.
Ah,
They
I thought
said
it was they were
they just
okay,
signaled
interest.
they signaled they were going to change it, and everyone lost their collective mind because there are so many cultists in Bitcoin that are just like, no, shitcoins are the worst, and you're a shitcoiner if you want to do this. And it's like the devs are like, you kind of don't understand what's going on here because I technically, if you're a dev, you kind of understand like what's happening, but like all the cultists who just blindly hate on shitcoins and non-standard data on the chain, they're just losing their minds. But this is getting really really off topic, obviously.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's fine. It was something I actually like had a note of your opinion on it because I was reading about it last week, and it seems like yeah, some people are losing their shit that this is going to make Bitcoin so expensive, and people are just going to be putting all this data on there, and yeah, there's a bunch of like controversy slash conspiracy as to why it's really happening. And I'm just what's your take? Is it's just a normal thing? It just needs to happen. It's just for the betterment of the chain or of the Bitcoin chain, or do you think that there's some validity to just that? Oh, this is corporate interests coming in, and all the conspiracy side of it or controversy side of it.
It's just a bunch of cultists who are Bitcoin only and are like, we don't like shitcoins, that don't really know how the chain works very well. Like they just know that Bitcoin is where they want to be, which is fine, but they think that they get an opinion on um, code bases that are controlled centrally. Like, imagine if you are this is how I try to explain it. Imagine you are an open source dev and you are a very successful, talented open source developer, right?
Mhm.
So you're very talented, you've had success, people love the software you're making, a bunch of people use it, right? So one day you realize, this thing that I did back in the day in 2014, um, I'm just going to get rid of it because it doesn't work and it just doesn't make sense, and it's either net neutral or net negative. So I'm just going to get rid of it. And then all these people who've been using your software who don't really know how it works, they come to you and they say, you're a flipping shitcoiner, you're going to ruin everything, like you can't change your code, I demand a vote. And you're like, um no, this is my code. Like, you don't get a vote. Like, you don't even know how this works. So and then the person, the people who are telling you can't change your code are um like, oh, you're being condescending, you're being elitist. And it's like, I wrote this, you don't get a vote, I get to, I'm in charge here. Like, that's what's happening right now.
And so these things like this op plan, op return outputs plan, and any things like Taproot, when you say they're not hard forked in, so what are they? What they're just like software add-ons
Yeah,
to the Bitcoin network.
yeah, it's Bitcoin Core. Bitcoin Core is a program that you can download to run your own Bitcoin node, but you do not have to run Bitcoin Core to run a node. All you have to do is run a server that obeys the rules of Bitcoin consensus, and you can run whatever you want. So a lot of these people who don't agree with what's going on right now, they're like, I'm running Bitcoin Knots, KNOTS. Uh, that's that's a fork kind of Bitcoin Core that keeps the filters in and doesn't allow garbage into the mempool. Um, but it doesn't matter because Bitcoin is very, very good at what it does. It's very censorship resistant. So the fact that Bitcoin knots nodes aren't going to include that garbage in their mempool, it doesn't matter because all the other nodes are going to include it. And those are the blocks that are going to get minted because miners want more money, right? It's a financial
Mm,
incentive. It's a financial incentive to mine the garbage for the money. So you can't
mhm.
stop it. So
Wait,
basically the chain,
there's a percentage, right? There's some like a percentage of agreement that has to happen for it to be minted. So it doesn't matter if these some
no,
stragglers
no, no,
aren't agreeing.
there's no percentage. It's whoever gets the block makes the block, and that's it.
Mm.
It's whoever wins the lottery gets to make that block, and that's so you
So
can't stop the spam
so if the
because even if you
person
stop
that
it for
makes
like
the
10 blocks, even if you stop it for like 10 blocks in a row, that 11 block is going to include all the spam and it's going to get propagated to everyone, and
ah
everyone's going to be
ah
forced to save it forever.
okay, so basically one of these not nodes can win the lottery and that gets put in, but then the next node won't have been missing that information, and so then it's just in the chain.
Yeah, it's called Ocean Mining. The Ocean Mining Company, if you look it up, they're the ones who did all the filters and stuff. So if Ocean Mining gets a block, it's not going to have garbage in it, but then the next block will have garbage in it because they didn't mine it.
So why don't we tip this in while we're in Bitcoin? Why don't we just dive right into current views and current perception of the market?
Oh,
What
you
are you
want to
thinking?
do
Yeah,
speculation?
that's it. Let's do some let's say 6 months to a year speculation.
Okay. Um, Looks amazing. I'm only doing speculation for like summer. I think summer looks incredible. Um, I'm a little worried about September.
Mhm.
I don't want September to be good. I want September to be a terrible, terrible month. If September is a good month, I'm worried. I think that's the top, basically,
Mhm.
because September is always bad. So I'm like, but there are a lot of metrics that are like, oh, September looks like it could be the top. So if September actually does good and looks like a top, I'm gonna be like, oh no, it's over. It's so over.
And
But
so you think that this it's do you see it as like a steady building building towards August, maybe touching into
no,
September, or do you think you see it as spikes?
blow off top. Everyone's losing their minds. No one's even thinking about selling because oh, even if it goes down 50%, I'll still be up a ton of money. Like,
Mhm.
and then that happens, and then you know, once you're down like 50%, you don't want to sell because you're down 50%. So then it just drops another 50%, and then you know how it works. You've been here for a bear market. You know how everyone
Yes,
round trips all their gains, and you lose everything, and you're like, oh my god, what did I just do?
absolutely. I'm more curious if you well, let's put it this way. Do you see the top being in this summer, or is it like a a top, a blow off top that then builds back up after September and we have a real top later in the year, or are you seeing the top being this summer?
If you look at every single bull market year, 2013, 2017, 2021,
Mhm.
um, every single one of those years, the top has been in basically November. There's been like a really good top in November every single time. So I'm just shooting for November again. It's uh it's always right around my birthday. Something terrible or amazing always happens in crypto right around my birthday, and it's hilarious to me. Uh, yeah. So like right around my birthday in 2022, FTX collapsed. I was like, there it is. That's the bottom. I definitely should have like bought more Bitcoin at 16K. Let's just put it that way.
All of us,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. I was like, there it is. I just, when that collapse happened, I was like, it has to be worse than that, right? Everyone was thinking the same thing. Like, there's no way that FTX could collapse like that and it would only go down like 20%. That's what happened. It only went down like
In
20%.
hindsight, those moments are so obvious. It's so
It,
obvious that
it,
had to happen,
yeah.
and it was.
In the moment, it felt like the end. It felt like, oh, it's going to like 8K, 5K. Like it really felt like that, like right after it collapsed.
for sure.
but it didn't. It just the volume went to the roof, and we were just grinding rock bottom for a couple months, and then the next bull market started, and people thought we were in a bear market for a whole year after that. I was like, guys, it's going up. The number's going up. Like, but everyone's
Mhm.
like, no, this is a bear market. I was like, dude, it's just been going up straight for like a year. Like, what are we doing here?
And so, what is your prediction range for the top? Like, what type of number are you seeing as a Bitcoin top?
I don't even like to do numbers. I just because the 4-year cycle has just been so consistent. I just like to look
Mhm.
at the timing of it, and also September. September every single year. September is always consistently bad, always consistently a good time to buy every single year. So I'll be doing that again this year, unless you know September.
So let me put it to you this way. I what
But
I'm
four
seeing.
400K is my minimum.
Okay, okay. So this is what I was looking for because I was basically going to say that there's two camps that I'm sort of seeing. There's the camp that are looking somewhere between like 130 to 170, and then it doesn't seem like anybody's really talking about near 200. It's this next. It's like 250 to 400. So there seems to be these mega bulls that believe it's going to be 250 to 400, and then there's more maybe conservative bulls that see it in this window of like 130K to 175K. Do you think you're in the upper camp?
Um, well, back in olden days, I used to have a thing called the doubling curve, where Bitcoin was just doubling every single year on average. Um, if we get to 400K this cycle, and that's the top, that would basically just be getting to like the doubling curve, and then getting rejected from it. So it'll be the death of my metric that I was using for multiple years in a row. So, and I've seen a lot of other analysis that's like 400K, we could get there. I've seen a couple of different models that get there. I really think that, what is it? There's a model called the power law, I think is complete BS. I think those guys are going to get burned really hard. Have you heard of the power law?
Not by name. Maybe I've heard of the theory and just don't have the name. What? Give it to us.
It's just like it's an exponential curve, but you know how they put Bitcoin on a logarithmic scale so that it makes more sense.
Mhm.
Um, the power law puts Bitcoin, the y-axis, the price, on the log scale, just like a lot of other ones do, but it also puts the time on the log scale. So like time starts getting scrunched on the power law, and I'm like that. No, that's wrong. Like we're not like
So
it's time.
give us the layman's, like, what is it actually saying? What are they saying is going to
Um,
happen?
like they think that 250K is probably the top. I think.
Mhm. And you
Um,
think that's low?
I just think that every time a new model comes out that tries to explain what it's going to do in that cycle, that it's always wrong and that you should always bet against it. Like, so this is a model that has never made anyone any money ever.
Mhm. Mhm.
And they're like, oh, we're going to make money with it this time. And it's like, no, it fails these models fail every single time. So like, I'm not even going to trust any of them, which is why I don't like to look at the price. I'd rather just look at the time and be like, okay, we made it to the end of the year. Like, it's time to start hedging your bets.
Yeah, well, for actual moves, yeah, in a way, right now it's more I'm kind of looking for, put your foot in it and make your best guess. I'll go out on a limb and I'll just say I lean in the camp of the I guess conservative bull. I think we're gonna have a bull run, obviously, but I would say I lean in the camp of I am doubtful that it gets above 160,000 K. That's my particular. I don't think we're gonna. I think everybody's talking about 250 and 400. It reminds me of the 2017 when everybody was talking about how we were going to go to 40 and 50. I think we're going to, I don't think we'll go above 160,000.
Yeah, but you know that that's only 60%, right? Like
That's only what's that?
that's only a 60% gain from here. So you think that 60%, you're like, we can't get higher than that.
Look, I've said this before on the show. I even feel like you were maybe here once, and I'll just say it again, just for this is loosely how I'm calculating. Typically, if you take the low and the bear from the cycle before, you can 10x it for a loose estimate of where we're going to be. It can be more, and in the earlier years, it was more than this 10x, but it seems to be reducing. So, perhaps it would be more safe bet to even say 8x from last year's bear. And what was last year's, like the bear in our last cycle was 16. So you multiply that by 10, you get 160, and that is just straight up. If you just kind of look at the patterns of the other years, it's in that range. So that's what I'm basing it off of, and I prefer to be conservative than to be like Lamborghini doe-eyed, it's going up
Oh,
forever, boy.
oh yeah, for sure. Um, let's see. I had something to say, but now I'm blanking. Um, apparently the Earth is flat. So
All right, so let's switch this now. How does this correlate to alts and Hive? Like, what should we be seeing? Are we all of this fear about how like alt season is dead? All of these people crying in the streets about their shit coins not going up correctly. What do you think?
it's hard to make a comparison to other stuff because I've gotten burned so many times by being like, Bitcoin's going to do this, which means altcoins are going to do this. Uh, there's been so many times I've done that where I was right about Bitcoin, but I was not right about the other thing that I was betting on, which is why I almost exclusively bet on Bitcoin now because it's just more consistent. But alts are more volatile and unpredictable. So when people are like, "Oh no, it's never gonna go up again," it's like, well, it will, and then it'll go nuts, and you'll have no idea what to do because, when something goes 10x, like, and then something else next to it goes 100x, you're like, "Oh, but I want the 100x." Like, it's just crypto is just completely irrational and insane. But the thing I was gonna say about Bitcoin before was a lot of people have been looking at the 2021 cycle and doing kind of pattern recognition on it. And I don't think that's valid. I think 2021 was like an extreme outlier. And I don't think 3 points of data, three bull markets is enough to do any kind of projection. I don't think it's enough to say that like, oh, 2017 was lower than 2013 and 2021 was lower than 2017. So that means that 2025 is going to be lower than 2021. I think that that's ridiculous. 2021 was like COVID. Uh, we printed a bunch of money. We shut down the entire world economy. I don't think you can look at 2021 as a data point at all. I think it's a terrible way to guess what's going to happen because of everything that went down during that time.
Yeah, I almost ignored 2021 because it had such abnormality. So many people were getting those stimulus checks, and so
Yeah,
it was just a different
but
world. It sometimes feels like getting into conspiracy theories, because there's this whole conspiracy theory that yeah, Trump is trying to get the money machine to go burr. He's trying to force like an economic collapse just to open up the purse strings, which then would lead to potentially one of those. Uh, yeah, what do they call that when they say one of these years? I can't, I'm forgetting the name right now, but it's when Bitcoin's going to go wonky, even beyond anybody's expectations. What's that? It's got a term, that name. I can't remember it right now.
um, parabolic, S curve, super cycle.
Super cycle. That's what I was looking for.
Right, yeah, never come down. Number go up forever.
Yeah, the
And
super, like one of them is going to be the super cycle that it's just going to go nuts, and you're gonna
omega candle. I love that one.
yeah, yeah.
It's the candle to end all candles, bro.
So so dipping now, okay, we'll forget the other shit coins. And you're more intimately involved here in the Hive blockchain, so it aren't most of the people joining us. So I admit, I'm just going to straight out say I am purposely deluded and not rational when it comes to Hive. And I'll say that the reason is because you're not supposed to care about your assets, but I care about Hive. I often say things like, I want Hive to make it, and even if I can see that it's like going to be tough to make it, I'm willing to fight for it because I want a social media like this where we have more rights and more control and we have more say over our accounts. I want this to work, and I'm willing to fight for it. So I don't. I sometimes feel I lose the view, the kind of more broad view of what is really going on because I have a little more emotion attached to it. So maybe you have less emotion, and I'm kind of curious. Do you think that we follow a similar pattern as in other years? Do you think we're going to see above $1? I feel very hopeful for Hive right now. I'm curious how you feel.
Well, it's they say to divorce yourself from the emotional attachment to the money or whatever, especially when you're investing. Just like light it on fire in your head. If you want Hive to succeed, that's fine. Just make sure it's for a reason that's not selfish. It's not to pump your bags. It's for like other reasons because it just make the world a better place or whatever. Uh, Personally, I think it's gonna be really hard for Hive to get over like $3 again because we've already been there and we were there for like 2 seconds and people are going to be like, I got to get out. Like if it starts pumping like crazy again, like I think people have finally figured out that they got to sell some. But I don't know. You never know because selling Hive for me is super hard. I hate doing it um, because even if the price is good, you're losing power. Like people send me DMs and they're like, hey, vote for my thing. They do that because I have a bunch. They do that because I have a bunch of Hive power. Like if I don't have Hive power, then I have no say on the network.
Absolutely.
So it's like
Yeah,
even if the price is like $5, I don't want to sell because if I sell, then like I don't have that power anymore. Like so it's a weird conundrum of like, hmm. But I mean, Hive is totally unpredictable. I think we easily get over $1, but predicting the top is impossible. Like it could go to $1, it could go to $2, it could go to $20. Like you don't know. We got a lot of cool projects going on that could like attract like a whale. If you get like some random Ethereum whale or something to like drop a huge bag into Hive, that's going to make a splash that we can't even deal with. Especially since half of our stake is locked up. It's not even for sale.
mhm,
So we have very bad liquidity. I think the perpetuals markets that exchanges have been listing for Hive are interesting because they add a lot of weird derivative liquidity for our token. So you can sell Hive in the derivatives market without powering it down, which I think is kind of crazy. Like if I want to sell my powered up Hive, I can do that with a perpetuals futures market, which is kind of crazy.
can you explain that so that I can
Yep.
wrap my
Yeah.
little pea brain around it?
Yeah. So say I have 100,000 Hive powered up, and I'm like,
Mhm.
I want to sell 500,000 Hive or 50,000 Hive, but it's going to take 6 weeks for that to unlock, and I need to sell it now.
Mhm.
You go onto the exchange, and you could just sell it if you have, as long as you have the collateral to borrow the Hive. You can put like a couple $1,000s on the exchange, leverage it up, and sell it, and get the price that you need. And then when the Hive unlocks, you can sell it later to cover your position. So even if you lose money, it doesn't matter because you already had the Hive to begin with. Like if you short Hive and the price goes up and you lose money, it doesn't matter because you have the money. It's just locked. You just need to unlock it. Just time has to go
Mm.
by first. So you can create these hedge positions with the perpetuals market and sell Hive that's locked by proxy using shorts, which uh, which is so useful that people are willing to pay like a ridiculous premium for the service. Like if you look at how much it costs to short Hive when Hive pumps, it's it costs so much money. It might cost you 200, 300, 500, 2,000% interest rates to short Hive when it pumps. That's how much demand that there is to like sell tokens that are locked and unlocking soon.
And some of that had to do with some of the pumps that we were seeing,
Yeah, when we
last.
pumped to six, when we pumped up to 60 cents, um, the funding rate was -2%, which means if you're shorting, you lose 2% of your money every 4 hours, which the uh, the APY for that, 2% every 4 hours, is like more money than exists in the entire world after a year. Like once you do the compound interest on 2% every 4 hours, that much money does not exist in the entire world after a year. That's how high it is. I did the math on it and I did it like 5 times because I was like, that can't be right. And I was like, it's totally right. I'm like, oh my God.
And so let's imagine a world where we've seen this world happen. So, Hive starts going up. A whole bunch of users start like seeing us. We have an influx of new users. Um, in the past, I've often said we're just not ready for all these new users. We're not ready to like kind of onboard them in a way that they're going to be retained. Do you think anything has changed? Do you think if we have an increase in users, are we in the same position we were in the last bull cycle, or are we a little more prepared to gather up these new users and retain them?
You have to look at the incentives. Like when the price of Hive is high, there's definitely a much higher financial incentive to figure it out and like deal with the complexity. Um, I would say most cryptocurrency projects lose a lot of their users because the FOMO happens at the top, right? So you get all your new users at the top, and then the market crashes and they all lose their money and they all rage quit. And it really has nothing to do with the complexity of the system. It has to do with the system failed them and they lost all their money and now they rage quit. Like they're like a drunk person saying, "I'm never going to drink again," and then it's like, oh, okay, well, should have avoided that. Um, but I mean, we do need to do some more streamlining and stuff. Haven't really answered your question fully. I'm not sure how to.
You're like on the edges a little bit. I think well, I think even just isolating that as a factor that that maybe some people get excited, join, maybe even make some purchases and then rage quit. It's good to know that because maybe there's something you can do to counteract it in that moment.
Yeah,
Whether you can just perpetuate these ideas of it's, hey, like, Hive is a long play. Hive is here to stay. Hey, Hive through Steam has been here through many cycles, and the main community is here, and just kind of really selling this bigger picture idea could maybe. there's always going to be rage quitters. The question is, could we get another few percentage points of retention? Oh, last time all these people joined and we lost 95%. Could we get that to like we only lost 85%? Because that'd be better for us.
So I think the
Yeah.
danger when people join during a bull market is that they come in with high expectations, and if they don't understand that it's a constant cycle going on, they're going to fade out just as quickly. Where if they come in during a bear market and then they see it go up, it's kind of like, oh, this actually works.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And it's really hard to get noticed during the FOMO. If
Mm-hmm.
you're a new user, no one's gonna notice you. Uh, it's like when I got here in 2017, like I was like happy with like getting like a penny upvote. I was like, oh, someone saw my thing. Uh, other people are getting like hundreds of dollars on their posts, and I'm like, my posts are better than that, but it doesn't matter because I don't have a network, so I just need to keep at it. Um, but also it's worth it if it's worth it. Like if we could guarantee like even a job for like say two, three, four, $5 an hour, all of a sudden all these people from like, countries that are having really big troubles with their currencies like Nigeria and the Naira. Like if you could guarantee someone from Nigeria, hey, if you do this job for me, I can pay you $5 an hour, they would do it. It doesn't matter how complex it is. It doesn't matter how hard it is. Like they will do it because $5 an hour is significantly more money than they're making at their job in the country.
Yeah, absolutely. This is definitely something that I see, when you have economies that are lower or struggling, that we have big user bases, but then that also causes its own issue because you have uh, the inability to purchase the coin, in the same way. So
Yeah. So the problem there is we have to, get the most out of our users. Like people are worried about, the KE ratio. It looks like, did you notice that Peaked added that to the front end?
I, I did. I thought it was great.
Yeah. Yeah, so now you can see like, oh, how much does this person extract versus how much do they power up and all that stuff. Um, I think like we need to find more ways to not worry about our quote employees extracting value and worry more about our quote employees producing value. So like, I don't think we should be worried about people selling. I should be worried. We should be worried about, are we overpaying this person for like, did they do work that's actually valuable to the network or didn't they? Like, because, if you work for a corporation for a wage and you don't buy their stock, the corporation doesn't complain, you know? Like, the corporation's making more money off of you than you are from it. And I think maybe we should try to be thinking more like a business in that perspective. Like,
Well, we've been having these conversations a lot. Starkers talks about it quite a bit, and I struggled with this idea in the beginning because I was always a blogger, but this concept of shifting a little bit, like, okay, we're always going to be a blogging place to put your video and put your content, but to switch some of that the mechanism to actions, like actions that have clear value and clear use cases for the chain. So I can really see that this is a great way for clear, we don't need another person writing about the cheesecake that they had this morning, but yeah, somebody going in and reposting something from Hive Echo on Twitter, these actions, these clearly delineated actions that then it seems like a great use case for it's sort of like gamifying the earning, but then having it have a direct value to the chain, spreading it in Web 2 and stuff like this. So I've really been coming around to this concept, and I think it uh, might be a pretty good thing.
So is it a shift or is it opening the viewport up so that we see a a wider view of the chain.
Yeah, I mean, I think maybe it's that. Maybe it's what you just said. More, you know, that we're not just known as like the blogging. That we're also
Yeah, we're
your
just we're
your
just we're just saying things though, right? Like it's pretty hard to measure value, especially on the internet.
Yeah.
Um, and we can just say
yeah
like, oh, well, our users should be producing more value, but then it's like when you actually ask the hard questions of how do you do that, it's like, oh, I don't know.
What is
yeah.
Zing?
Well, it's
Hivey
using it.
has just asked,
Yeah.
did Edicted talk about Zing yet? I
Yeah,
don't
I
want to
said I said
semi-bribe.
I said take a second mortgage out on your house and put it all into Zing. You didn't catch that?
No, I missed that.
Oh, okay,
But
yeah.
yeah. Yeah, why don't you give us your input here on Zing? I know you're kind of like
Oh, I am
you're in the
irresponsibly long on Zing.
yeah,
Just
exactly.
like
So
comically irresponsibly long. I shouldn't even be talking about it. It's so irresponsible.
are you
Um,
what rank whale are you currently?
oh God. I'm at the top. Like, and I bought another 500K today. Like, I just threw another couple $100 at it. I was like, yeah, send it. I
Are you,
have over 10 million coins. So over 5% of the supply, total supply right now.
What's got you so attracted to it?
Um, well, I always wanted like a Pokemon style game to kind of come out on Hive. So when I saw it, I was like, sweet. And now at this point, um, you know, it's yeah, I don't know what to say about it. I just want it to come out. I want to play it.
I'm kind of just curious. This kind of shifts in a little bit more into this use case side of things. You dive into HBD. You give a lot of posts about the tokenomics around HBD, and from haircuts uh, to the APR. Um, I'm just kind of curious your thought processes on HBD, and maybe dipping into the VSC side of things, and whether I guess I'm kind of leaning in this direction with my question of maybe HBD in and of itself is another driver for coming to our chain. What do you got to say lately about HBD?
HBD has surpassed all my wildest expectations. Like if you look at what we did, uh, with providing, we wanted to go toe to toe with Luna, Terra Luna, and we were like, okay, we're gonna do 20% because that's what they're offering, and that their platform was destroyed by the APR they offered, and we did fine. Like our I think the highest our debt ratio ever went was less than 10%. It might have been 10 or 11, but it was low. Like, Terra Luna went to like 5,000%, and it obliterated itself, uh, which can't happen because of the way HBD works. So if you look at HBD and what it's done and how well it's performed, it's shocking. And I think no one really gives it the credit it deserves. Uh, it's done really well, and people just kind of complain about it. And I'm like, wow, it's kind of crazy to me. As far as VSC is concerned, I really needed to take more of a refresher course on that because I don't know how the collateral system works exactly, and I've been trying to figure it out, but I haven't fully grasped it yet.
I mean, I think one of the big things that my understanding of what VSC is going to bring to HBD is that it's going to be the intermediary. So we're just going to see anybody trying to do swaps through VSC or any type of trading, it's all going to route through HBD. So that in and of itself just seems like a large driver.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at kind of yield-bearing assets, 15%, even though it's less than 20, it's still really high. I think block trades has been signaling 12% this entire time, which is also good. Anything between 5 and 15% is probably good. But the way I think that we should be kind of manipulating the APR, people don't seem to think that I'm right. So I don't know what to say about it.
And how do you think we should be manipulating it so I can
I
judge
just
you as well?
I see HBD as a investment kind of in the network. We're offering yield on our debt. So it's like we're going long on Hive. We're saying when you offer a high yield on debt, you're saying I believe in the collateral, and the collateral is Hive. So you're saying I think Hive number go up. So yield should be low when times are good, and yield should be very high when times are bad. And that's counterintuitive for people. They want to do the exact opposite, which is very wrong. So the fact that it's just been kind of hovering at the same place the entire time is better than how people actually want to do it. But I want to do it the other way. Like if Hive is at $5, I want yield on HBD to be like 0. Basically, I want to flush all that debt and get rid of it when times are good. So that when times are bad, we can jack it up to the moon and get people back in there to like leverage up.
Do you ever see a moment where the witnesses could move that effectively fast? Isn't it much more of a
No,
slow
they can
moving
move it.
thing?
They can move it whenever they could move it right now to like 50%.
Yeah.
They could move it to 0% on the next block.
They need to have, don't they need to have is it 17 witness consensus? Is that what it is?
No, I think it's like a median average. Something like that. Marky would know.
So
He's
one of you witnesses out there in the chat, tell us how many of the witnesses would have to agree to
yeah,
switch
median, yeah.
the
Starker says it's median.
Yeah, so it just picks the middle, and that's what it is.
Median of 20 plus 1.
Mhm.
We're up on the hour, so we should be
Wow.
winding down. Yes, I know. Went quickly once we got started.
Do you have any audience questions? I have more questions, but if there's anybody in the audience that has something they want to bring up.
No, you've been getting them as they come in.
I have not even seen the chat, so that is just magic.
You must be on your phone.
I just got my notes up here, and I one time flipped over to the chat. But anyways, all right. Well, why don't we? We just dipped into the. We'll kind of wrap up with this question. Um, so we dipped into witnesses here. I, look, occasionally there's a lot of naysayers. We got our mumblers and grumblers, and Hive should be this and Hive should be that, and blah 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 blah. Um, and we call ourselves we're decentralized, and I'm curious how decentralized you think we really are, how decentralized it really is in your opinion. um and I'm also curious what you think is behind the whale curtain. Are there people manipulating Hive in I imagine this cigar smoking room of diabolical whales smoking their cigars, and ha 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 ha, those plankton, little do they know. I'm just curious, like how much string pulling is going behind the scenes, and how much of this is just what the chain is, and it actually doing exactly what it's supposed to be doing, and people are wielding their influence, but nobody's doing anything nefarious. Which camp do you lay in, and do you think that Hive is truly decentralized?
Well, you don't get this kind of drama on a centralized top-down kind of thing, you know? Uh, and decentralization is dependent on outside factors as well as inside factors. So, um, like if I have the option to leave and go somewhere else, if I have a choice to opt into a different kind of consensus, that is more decentralized. And I would say in that respect, Hive is very centralized because no one is offering what we are offering. So like even if I wanted to leave, like where would I go? Like so there aren't any options on the outside. There aren't any like there are a lot of networks that have tried to do what we've done and they have all failed immediately. And I've like looked into them, I'm like that's going to fail immediately and then it does. Like, you know,
So just let me pause you for
Stars
a second,
Arena.
because what I'm hearing is you're saying we're the only decentralized option, so therefore we're centralized. Is that what you're saying?
No, like if you want to earn cryptocurrency, where are you going to go?
Mm, like
Like
through your blogs or
there
through
is
your.
no other choice except to go to Hive and accept what they have decided. Like there's no other
Mm.
option. That's centralized. Like we're the only game in town, and like all these other people have tried to do what we do, and they all just go belly up instantly. So in that regard, we're centralized. Like also our stake is very centralized, but I don't know. I don't worry about it. I think it's fine. Like the biggest complainers are the people who don't do anything. Like, so when I see that, I'm like, I don't care what you have to say. Like, you're not doing anything. Like, a lot of the people that complain, they don't really know how it works. Uh, I call them out on it, and they just get quiet. I'm just kind of like, yeah, you. I don't want to be a
Starkers
dick or anything, but
Starkers has suggested we're stuck here with each other. Our only choice is to listen to Buttcoins forever. Luckily, he has a good singing voice. And Isidio says I was going to make a joke to go to Steam. That would be a joke.
I was gonna make the
right.
joke. What have you forgotten about Blurt? We've got options out there.
I think I was looking at that. I still have coins there. I got an airdrop up Blurt, and I never took it out. Um, I think it said that their 24-hour volume was like $100 or like $200 or something. I was like, oh my god,
Well, that was a
because
good
I actually follow someone who's like, yeah, Blurt's gonna take over everything and like it's gonna eclipse Hive, and I'm like, dude, come on, like you're writing this on Hive, and I'm upvoting it because it's hilarious. Like my upvote buys like half of their daily volume. Like, okay, sure.
So their volume yesterday or the last 24 hours was $674. They've had a good day.
Yeah, very good day, I would say. Like, it's crazy. And meanwhile, we got these perps listings. I don't know how they provide so much liquidity, but like these centralized perps listings we're getting on Hive, they're doing like millions of dollars like all the time. It's crazy.
Well, I think we hit our hour. I'm a little over. We're at like an hour 10. We do keep this going into the after chat and let people come in and free for all keep talking. But I just want to take a moment and say thank you so much for joining us. I feel it was a thorough conversation where we dipped into a bunch of stuff. Hopefully, other people out there thought it was interesting as well, and I appreciate you coming. I know it's kind of hard to wake up sometimes.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm sorry I missed last week. I was like so like that is because there was some drama that was before that too, right? Like you thought I wasn't going to do it or something, and then I just didn't show up. Like, I was like, oh man, that's the worst.
So
I think I always thought you were doing it, but maybe
Oh,
I
okay.
didn't. I don't know.
is there anything that we didn't cover that you'd like to say?
Me?
Yeah.
Um, I don't know. I'd probably just spiral off on some crazy tangent. So no, I don't have any quick wrap ups. No.
Don't you just love it how I throw questions at you that just kind of like from left field?
Yeah, I'll just spiral off and just talk to myself for the next 10 minutes.
Oh, okay. Well, whatever works for you. Well, I do appreciate you getting here this week, and it has been an interesting conversation. It's been interesting watching the chat there as well. And I thank you for being here and everybody for coming in to listen. And we'll wrap it up. Bot coins. Who we
Oh
have
yeah, we got next
next
week.
week?
Yeah, so next week we are going to have Mick Sam, I believe is the pronunciation, and he's going to be coming on to talk about Hive boreholes,
That should be an interesting
the
conversation.
the Hive borehole project. I think they're at 25 of them now, or something like that.
Very nice. Should be an interesting one. Until next week, thanks for coming.